I told my gynecologist I was headed to.
Hey, there's your intro right there.
No, I think the intro still is. Behind every good podcast is
Your biggest critic.
Your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to another episode of the Overlap Podcast, where we discuss and study the overlaps between work, fitness, family, faith, parenting, and leadership, with the idea that becoming better in one aspect of your life helps you become better in all aspects of life. And we're trying to do that by simplifying big business brilliance for small business leaders. And that line right there just makes us look smarter than we actually are. So, thank you. Thank you. I know you're all laughing at that.
My chest just puffed up. A tad.
I think that was the, all the salt. Yeah, from breakfast. Hey, so really, thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate your continued listening. Your listenership, is that the correct term?
That would be it.
Yeah, I've got to ask the tech guy. We really do appreciate it because today we are recording episode
150.
Get down.
We did something 150 times.
150 times. Yeah. Like not push-ups, pull-ups, but actually something that takes, a number of years and be consistent with. And our guest today can't believe we've actually stayed consistent with this.
No, because as that takes consistency in multiple years, so does the guest in here.
Yeah.
And their relation to us. So
just to continue the little intro, and I do this every time, but I want to make sure that I really express the gratitude and also kind of align ourselves and our listeners that we were really doing this because Keith and I listened to tons of podcasts, and almost every single one of them was about large business, large leadership, 500 employees and everything else. And what we're trying to do is boil all of those concepts down into a palatable podcast for small business people. And I think I feel good about where we've taken this, and I really appreciate you guys listening and making it possible.
So we have
go on
taken our show to the next level on the 150th episode.
We really have,
because our guests are our wives today.
Yes.
And so this is going to be a little vulnerable, a little scary with what my wife's going to say.
Yeah.
So she's going to make me look glorious like she always does.
She really does. When you walk into the room, she makes you look better.
She really does.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So today's podcast is about being married to an entrepreneur. And the concept, the idea behind it, whenever Keith and I were talking about this a couple of months ago, was that's a story that doesn't ever get told, right? The guy or girl that's running or building the business gets to tell their story. And that's really half of the whole thing, right? Because there is a relationship and there is a lot of give and take. There's a lot of sleepless nights. There's probably plenty of arguments that are spawned out of entrepreneurship. And the stress that goes along with it, the responsibilities, the ups and downs, the heartaches. And I really wanted to make sure that we got them in to tell to the other listeners, to our listeners and entrepreneurs and leaders that are in the fight, that their story isn't, unique. It really is pretty normal to have the couple go through this stuff. So that's the idea.
So welcome, ladies.
Aha.
Hello.
So glad to be here.
So today we have Stephanie Glines.
Hello.
And Jordan Sexton.
Hello.
All right. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Sure.
Keith has tons of questions.
Oh,
did you guys get the questions before?
We did not.
We did
Did
not.
you get
So
the
we're-
questions before?
No, we asked for them several times.
Oh, it's been a busy week. And as visionaries and entrepreneurs, we put it on our list and didn't quite get to it.
I bet.
You're probably used to that, right?
Usually.
Yep. That's the story of our life.
Picking up our pieces, is that we could probably name the podcast that.
Picking up our pieces.
That would be a good title for this
God,
podcast.
that could have
In
been
more
an ad.
ways, in lots
Yeah,
of
you
different
could.
ways.
So, Keith, how do we want to get started?
So, how did you and Jordan meet?
Oh, the origin story.
The origin story.
Do you want to go or I talk all the time. Do you want to go?
Sure.
You're going to have to speak in that mic, girl.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'll start. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we met, in 2001, maybe?
It was after 2001.
Maybe 2002.
Yeah, 2002.
We were both in the Coast Guard. Me at
Hoorah, or whatever they say. Semper Paratus.
Yeah, you're supposed to know that. Me at the ripe old age of me at the ripe old age of at that time.
You were 19.
19, yeah.
Yeah.
And you
looked it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we met there.
I was 23, by the way, people. It was not that big of an age difference.
Yeah.
Although at the time it seemed like it.
We were highly mature at that time.
Uh-huh.
And then after a little bit of time, we decided to get married.
Wait a minute.
That was a big jump.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
All right, here's the real story.
Okay,
here's the real story. So I worked in one area on the Coast Guard base in Sand Island, Honolulu, Hawaii. And she worked in the good duty station, where it was like the small boat station, and really didn't have to work for it, and took it for granted.
All I really had to do was sand, paint, and get a lot of cigarette breaks.
Yeah.
A lot of cigarette breaks.
So, and I was working at this other station where you actually had to work a little bit.
Hold on a second. What kind of cigarettes?
Oh, gosh.
What you got is really what she was
cool
about.
Menthols,
because I don't know that she was old enough to buy them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I was.
19,
I was old enough to buy them. I was old enough to buy them. And yeah, sometimes you had to bum, but if I had my preference.
So I was on a boat, and you live in the barracks when you're on the boat, and shortly after Jordan came around, got stationed there. I got a different duty station at the aids to navigation team, which is pretty legit. We can go into that another time. For those coasties listening, you know what I'm talking about. And I needed a roommate. I was getting out of the dorms, the barracks, and I needed a roommate. And I had been to college and lived with dudes forever, and I was not trying to do that, especially a bunch of young coasties, because they're just it's like college kids with money, they're they're bad. But so I shared a house with a girl that worked with Jordan, and so that's how we met, right? And we were at someone's house, some apartment, and we kind of hit it off a little bit. And we were on an elevator, either going up or going down to the party or leaving. And we kissed in the elevator. And I got to say, I was like, whoa, this is a pretty, this is a pretty good kiss. At the time, no lie, this is the truth. I'd had a series of bad relationships. You've never been on a boat as a dude, but you can imagine a 22-year-old being on a boat with 100 guys and 12 females. It kind of messes with your brain, and you go underway for a couple of months, and that's the only females you see. And you come back and you don't really engage with the regular society for a month, and then you go back out and all that. And it really my targets went from 7 to 10 to 3 to 5.
You lowered your standards.
I really lowered my standards. And I found myself one day going, what am I doing with my life? So I did take a vow, kind of personal, going, I'm not going to date anyone for a year. This is crazy.
There's such a good life lesson there.
There is.
Lack of option makes you lower your standards.
It really does. Golly. That's tweetable. So I took, I was like, oh my God. And I told all my friends, I'm not dating anyone for a year. And I stuck to it. And about that time, Jordan came around, and, we kissed, and I was like, oh, this is it. Holy cow, this thing worked. The very next day, I called her to say, hey, we were talking about going somewhere, and I can't remember.
The beach. We were going to
go to the beach. What? Well, I can't remember what you told me. What was that, Jordan? You got to say it to the audience.
I said, I think that you should find someone that actually likes you.
That's what she said. I'll repeat
Yeah.
that for the audience that may have missed that. She said, and I quote, "I think you should find someone who actually likes you."
Oh, we have one of those stories, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And I was
I feel your pain.
but here's the deal. The benefit of not dating anyone for a year kind of prepared me for this. I was okay being alone. So I didn't go, oh no, be with me, whatever. So I was moving on. As a matter of fact, I had a plan B too. The girl that lived in front of me was a graduate student at the University of Hawaii and was relatively attractive and like my age, 23, 24. And she was kind of really into me, but I thought she had crazy eyes. So I was like, not going to go down that road. But plan A shut down, no problem. God is guiding me to plan B clearly, right?
So here comes the crazy.
Yeah. So I start talking to that girl the next day, and then I can't remember what happened from there. I honestly don't remember.
So, I mean, kind of same thing. I work only with guys. Had like 3 or 4 girls maybe that worked at my place, the place that I worked. So, I didn't have anybody to hang out with, so I started hanging out. Her name was Gretchen.
Yeah.
She's from Alaska. Hi, Gretchen.
She didn't like ice in her drinks.
She did not like ice in her drink, but she made amazing French bread. Anyway, so I started hanging out at their house, and then he wore me down. I mean, it just,
Did I?
We started hanging out.
Pretty
playing
sure you saw the
cards.
girl plan B in front.
Probably.
until
I
we
don't
talked to her.
remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time, but
Uh-huh.
someone's not bitter.
Oh, man.
But no, I mean, we started hanging out more, and then eventually just started dating. And, as in all military relationships, you're only in a place for so long. So it came about that time that I was headed off finally.
I got out and
Yeah, you
made the
got out,
decision
yeah.
to stay.
But
That's my sacrifice.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll do. I'll stay in Hawaii. No problem.
it's a hard
Yeah.
choice.
My best friend from college was there. I was like hooked in with his family. The Hawaiians are crazy, man. They are so communal. It's weird. Like I went to more birthdays
Kid
in
birthdays.
my short time in Hawaii than I ever did any time anywhere else. Like first year birthdays in Hawaii are extravagant. Like Ferris wheels are being brought,
Wow.
like a whole carnival is brought in. Am I lying?
No, I mean,
It's
they're pretty wild.
They
Well,
spend
I-
like 20 grand.
For a party they'll never remember.
And parties now have become that everywhere.
Well, I learned that infant mortality was such a big deal in Hawaii that they like really celebrated it. And they're so communal, like they almost like need everyone to kind of come up because they kind of know that like eventually, nieces and nephews are going to be taking care of aunties and uncles and whatnot. And we would like wake up and Mark, I don't know if you remember this, he'd be like, hey, we got to go to Auntie Ruthie's. We're like, all right, whatever. We're just rolling over there. And we ended up painting their like kitchen. We got there at 10. They fed us. We painted till like 4.
That's
and they
awesome.
fed us dinner and it was like a barbecue in the afternoon. I was like, this is kind of cool. It was kind of a great way to live. Sure, I'll stay here for Hawaii and see how it goes.
Yeah. And then, but then it came, to the point of, I guess like from an opportunity standpoint. Well, number one, we knew that I wasn't going to be in Hawaii forever. And then it became like, oh, well, from an opportunity standpoint, what are you going to do with your life? I think at that time we wanted to stay together and we had plans of that. But then it was like, well, where am I going to go? Obviously.
Oh, great. You picked Sid because lack of opportunity. Great.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, we liked each other. But you had to kind of make some big decisions because we were going to be far apart for sure, for at least an extended period of time.
She was going to go to A school.
Yeah, I had school in California. So he goes back to Oklahoma and starts his lawn care business there while also working at the same glass factory that his dad worked at. And,
This was terrible.
like
it was factory
any-
work, shift work.
like any, mature teenage girl, I just could not understand why he didn't want to talk on the phone to me all the time.
Yeah.
So we, you know, I mean, through that kind of stuff, we were like, oh, we're going to stay together or whatnot. I was like, well, I'll come visit. I don't remember. This was around like right after A school, I guess, maybe. And then we decided that we would get married. That was a fun, you know, like we were going to break up or we were going to get married. And so we decided.
Yeah, Jordan did give me an ultimatum.
I was like, look, you know, I mean, we either have to move forward or we have to move on. Like, there's no long distance relationship without commitment for me, you know, at that time. So we did what any mature, responsible couple would do. We decided to get married and then also still live long distance.
I did weigh a lot of options. A couple of these were number one. Number one is that have you ever been in someone's car that they didn't ever pay for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a tell all of Jordan's stories.
This story would come up.
This is Jordan's story.
Oh my gosh. It's so true.
She had, and it was a Ford Escort. A Ford Escort, white. It was like a 95 or something.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is 2002. This might be 2003 at this. No, it's
That's
2002.
the year I graduated high school.
2000. Yeah.
You're old.
2002. And to me, seemed like a perfectly nice vehicle. I had bought a $50 Mazda X6 or MX6 or something like that for $50. I spent 2 weekends at the Air Force Base garage, got it towed over there twice to change like the AC joints and all this other stuff to get it up and running. And that's what I was cruising in, a $50 car. And she, mind you, and at the meantime, I only did that so I could save every penny I could. I did every little extra job the Coast Guard will sign you up for. We can talk about that later. I tied down helicopters for an extra $100 a month. I did some other crap too. I can't even remember. Oh, I did the little like the 21 gun salute stuff at cemeteries. Mind you, I'm not hard for the guard. This isn't like my career that I want to do, but I'm like, man, I'm going to make every penny I can. Sign me up. I saved almost everything I could to buy like an electric blue Jeep Wrangler.
Yes.
And it was like a 97. To me, it might as well been brand new. I mean, it had like less than 100,000 miles. I had never owned a vehicle that it had less than 100,000 miles. And she had, I had a Jeep. It's cool. We always took it. But one time we tried to take her car. You couldn't sit in her car. Not one seat didn't have a pile of clothes. And this was the kicker. Or I counted them, 3 McDonald's bags. And underneath them was a full-on kitchen plate with like food still on it, with a fork on it and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God. So this was going through my head. Yeah, is that who I want to marry?
That could have been a deal breaker.
It kind of was. Also, we won't delve into the cooking fiascos that were, but I'll just say this. She did make me sick 2 times for sure that I know of.
At least 2, but honestly more.
Probably
I remember
more.
2 specifically, but more for
One
sure.
with pancakes, and I really don't know how you mess up pancakes. So we decided to get married.
Man,
Me reluctantly.
her life has changed so much
I
because
know.
now she won't even let us use her car.
I know. I know. Oh my God, I know. Isn't that amazing?
Well, and she's one of the best cooks I know.
And she has
really
an apron, like multiple apron selections.
Yes.
Look, I think she's going to start like a Instagram vlog or something of her cooking expeditions.
I know. When she said
She
the
should
other day
have.
to me, I have fresh baked bread that I
dude.
made from scratch.
It's so good.
I know. You know, people grow.
They do. So we
Aunt Jemima.
I know. So we decide to get married. I mean, I go, I get the ring, I propose. It's great. It's all whatever, it's fine. But we were living like in Hawaii, then I'd move back to Oklahoma. I'm working 2 jobs. And at some point we decided to go see your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before.
Because, my parents had not met you yet. I mean,
Before we get married, right?
Yeah.
And, and I'm thinking, man, I haven't really like talked to her dad. I don't know much about things,
We
but
don't
I
really
kind of know
each other
this.
that well.
I know, you and I did know each other pretty well. We won't go into that. But But we felt like I needed it. I needed to just at least meet him, right? My parents knew her.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, my dad. This is a big deal. My dad and my mom came out to visit Hawaii, like pretty soon before, like almost like 6 months before I left to come back home, maybe to Oklahoma, maybe 9 months. And my dad is like an industrial engineer, was in the Marine Corps, doesn't say much. One of those kind of people that kind of complains about everything, but it took me 30 years to figure out that's his way to communicate with me,
Mm-hmm.
He never wants to look weak. So if I complain about things, it's me being above it all, but we can still have a conversation about it. How psychologically in tuned am I to figure that out? We can talk about that another time too. But like...
Seems like it's taken years to get there.
It has.
Yeah.
But he did say when Jordan left, he's like, whatever you do, don't mess it up with that girl. And I was like, huh, that's crazy.
Thanks,
My dad
buddy.
has never said anything about any friend or female. Maybe I ought to finally listen to him, about anything, So that was probably a big kicker. And then we go see her parents, and you can take it from there.
Well, my parents are, great people, and they're a little eclectic. And
Eccentric. For
yeah.
sure.
The granola before granola was cool, kind of.
Really?
Yeah. And the only thing I genuinely remember about that meeting,
everything.
I know, but because I grew up with my parents having birds, so it's not abnormal for them to wake you up in the morning at very early times of the day. My dad just randomly having a bird in the house and training it, whatever. And we get there and we're woken up to, was it the bird? My dad was like flying a bird in the living room and singing us a song.
We get there pretty late, relatively in the evening.
I mean, yeah.
And
all you really need to know about this part of the story is that
they need to know it
there
all.
was a bird involved.
This is a long form podcast.
This is
Jordan.
not. There was a bird involved, and then my dad brings out some radio and starts singing to us.
Hold on. Here we go. We pull up. It's evening. Your parents probably, I don't know. My parents, I told you about my dad. My parents are like that. They're not into feelings or anything like that.
Yeah,
they're kind of awkward around new people, You've read Hillbilly Elegy?
Mm-hmm.
Those are my parents. That's who they are. That's like 100%. We don't trust anyone outside of this little circle that we have. That's what I grew up with, man. I didn't have a whole lot of other
Hillbilly Elegy. That's your family minus the fentanyl.
Well, I'm sure there's they just took out the fentanyl and put methamphetamines in there.
Not his parents.
Not my parents.
Gosh.
They might have taken fentanyl. My parents. I don't know. But I've never seen parents come out like all excited to see me, all excited and like showering me with like lots of questions and like just like her mother is genuinely like a saint. And it was a bit much at first because I thought it was fake. She comes off strong. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, she definitely
that
does.
You might think it's fake, and I'm thinking I'm in bizarro world here. Then comes the stepdad behind, and I've heard of the birds. I've heard of them. I was ill prepared for this. That his hair comes out like looking like a bird,
like a cockatoo.
like a cockatoo.
Yeah.
His hair, beautiful feathered hair, flowing and bouncing everywhere, and he's about 115 pounds.
Yeah, he's a small fella,
like real skinny. Looks like a bird. I'm in seconds. My mind is going, what is happening here? What's going on? They bring us into the house. I don't think there were birds flying around, but there were birds kind of walking around.
Yeah, like they have like little perches.
Yeah, little perch.
I feel like this is so strange.
We sit down for like 10 minutes and we're making small talk for about as long as they can take. It's 10 minutes. Then he breaks out. Mind you, I grew up in Oklahoma, and they don't say Miss Stephanie, Mr. Keith. They don't do that, right? I'd never heard that in my life, and I heard Mr. Mike 3 or 4 times, and I'm in my mind, I can't stop and ask. I'm just met these people. What's going on with Mr. Mike? What's with the hair? Oh my God, there's birds here. I didn't know they were inside the house. Why is her mother so like polite? Why does she keep touching me? What's going on here?
Which is so funny because you're all into your feelings and very touchy now in your
I
adult
know.
life.
Marriages change people. So about 10, 15 minutes in, I'm not lying, he runs upstairs, gallops, bounds, whatever. A lot. This is a lot for a guy his age, in my opinion, at this time. Like, whoa. He comes down with this tiny little Casio 5000 kind of thing. And he puts on a beat. I wrote a song. I want you guys to listen.
I swear.
I've met this guy for 20 minutes now. He's going to sing us a song. I'm not lying. And I'm going, and several times throughout this whole process, I'm going, this is the family I'm marrying into? What's Thanksgiving going to be like? What is going to happen? Do my kids have to come and visit here? What are they going to be like? Oh my God, I got visions that my kids are going to be like Division I athletes and wrestlers or something. You know, they're going to be killers. I don't know how this is going to work out. The genetics here may not match up to my dream, you know? And he
sings us a
commences
song.
to sing a song that I unfortunately has never been published, you know?
What was
it
it
never
about?
made it. I'm
I
not
don't even
sure,
know.
but
It's one of those.
It was an A-B rhyme scheme, and it sounded like Dr. Seuss wrote it, but not as clever.
Well, yeah, it was awesome.
So that's a fun one. I'm glad we got to delve into that. That was good.
Me too.
I pushed through because Jordan doesn't act. Jordan seems like she's not from that group for some reason. She seems a little bit more normal. So I got over it, and we ended up getting married.
We did get married.
And that was a complete, not disaster, but it was interesting as well.
Use your imagination based on the story you just heard. Imagine what our wedding could have possibly
Colliding,
been like.
yeah.
Yes. And colliding the two families. And the only thing you really need to know
Yeah, here we go.
about that is that we have 2 videos on VHS.
Here we go.
One from my family and one from Sid's family. And my family, it's just the video. It's the dad singing at our wedding, which is part of the
Casio 5000 guy.
brings
He rolls
us,
out. We're wearing like normal stuff, like a normal black suit, right? Me, my brother, and
my brother.
and her brother. Jordan told me I had to have her brother be on my, whatever. No problem. In August in Oklahoma, it's hot. The Birdman rolls out in tails, like legit long tails,
Like better suit than you.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know. They look silly.
And
It
he
looked
rolled
like he was
his-
going to sing at the opera
Yes.
or like the White House or something. Mind you, he has this, but he's got this orange dolly with it, like this big speaker rack he's pulling behind him and a microphone and sets it up after the wedding. And Jordan tells me this the night before. Hey, I've got
I don't know
one.
what to-
I've got
I don't know
one.
how to tell you
I don't know
this.
how to tell you this, but my dad wrote us a song he's going to sing at our wedding.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, absolutely not.
I was
And
like,
she goes, no, I already told him he could. And I was like, oh, God.
yeah.
So he sings out of tune,
It was fantastic.
offbeat. And fun fact, Steph, I was in choir in every single grade from first grade until my junior year in college.
I didn't know that about you, I don't think.
Musical theater, everything.
And so this is really just grating on his nerves.
I'm like, this is terrible.
Where are these lyrics now?
Well, they are framed.
They're enshrined.
They are. Look,
in
I
our
will say
home.
this. Can I tell you, though, even though he wanted to absolutely murder me on this particular day,
Oh, it was
it
the
has
best thing
been
ever.
the gift that has given us so much
Yeah,
joy
it really has. It really
because
has.
we have sang that song.
Love is patient. Love is kind. So let love overtake your mind.
Okay, we don't have to sing it here.
That is awesome.
We're not going to sing it here, but
Oh my God.
but it has
That's
been
precious.
Like a
See,
disease, you
that's
know, like a
precious.
virus.
It's going to overtake you. But I mean, our kids sing it now because we've told the story so many times, and so it
That's
really is
awesome.
quite hilarious.
Yeah.
It was memorable in not a great way on the day of, but it was really funny.
It was awesome.
So we get married. And then kind of to get over all the
Yeah,
my
you're trying to get
family's
stationed in
crazy.
Oklahoma.
Oh,
It
yeah,
didn't work
that was
out.
the goal, was that we wanted to get stationed in Oklahoma, which thank God that we did not.
Yeah, things
But
work out for a reason.
so I told Sid that, hey, we're going to get stationed in Alabama. That's where I can get closest to family and not terribly far from your family. Not terribly far. And he was not excited at all because, I mean, it's Alabama. We don't have our teeth, is what you think.
No, I did not, because I'm from Oklahoma, so I know. When we lived in Hawaii, people thought I rode my horse to school, I swear.
But, I mean, he'd never been to Alabama, so he wasn't overly excited. I was like, no, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I was like, everyone is so nice there. No lie, the first 5 people we met were so rude. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
great. This is how this is going to go.
Well, we were in Robertsdale. And they were unhappy people at that time, I guess. I don't know.
But, it was kind of again, thinking about what's like the best opportunity, I guess, for, I needed to, at this time, work because, he was working at the factory doing shift work, and the business was not sustainable enough to like keep us afloat.
Yeah.
So I needed to keep my day job for a good little while.
When we first moved here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
yeah,
what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we kind of had to
not
follow.
working at a factory. I got a job before we ever moved. I got a job for the city of Daphne. In their
No. I'm
horticulture
saying
department.
like when you were still in Oklahoma, that
yeah.
it was like, the lawn care business was not sustaining, would have not sustained us.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we get to Alabama. Do we want to keep going or do we?
Yeah, we need to let's get to the point where we
I
spend
know,
a
when
lot
do we
of
need
time
to
on the
start listening to
foundation.
them?
Y'all take all of the time you
No,
want. Our origin story is going to be much, much shorter.
And you just gave us jewels for promo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
gosh.
we are.
Gosh. Okay.
Love
Tim
is
is-
patient,
so
love is kind.
everyone needs to know that,
We were a hot mess.
Yeah, those people that start off with like great relationships, I don't understand how that works. Ours was, maybe we've been incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I think we've been lucky.
But I would say this, that I was, I do think that taking that year off not dating anyone allowed me to think through relationships at a much more mature level, because I was constantly making sure that this is a good decision. Is this, because I didn't want to get married, I didn't want to get married and hate it, for her or for me. And I was trying to build a good life. Does that make sense? And I'm just I had played team sports my entire life. And so I was just like, I'm just looking for a good teammate here. Is this someone I can build a team with? Kids, we're going to, regional dominance with our children,
Well,
whatever.
and I think for me, I honestly, at the time when I was thinking, oh, am I going to marry this person? All I really thought about, I mean, the only conversation that I remember being really serious about was like, hey, if we get married, you always have to have a job. I don't know. I was super not
high standards.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't think about it. I liked him and I knew that. And I was like, oh, this will be fine as long as he has a job. But growing up, my grandfather was a huge influence on my life. And I always wanted to marry someone, kind of like him. And that's what I basically told him from the beginning of, I don't want to not have you.
And her dad retired from the Coast Guard, and the next day went to work at Bender Shipyard until he retired from that. And that's not my life.
Yeah. I mean, we're not, not at all. I mean, it's not the same thing at all, but, that was the only standard I really had.
Yeah, but look. So
Thanks for meeting that.
You're welcome. Thanks for setting it so low. That's
how many years and 3 kids later?
I know, almost 21 years.
21 years, 3 kids. We got a 20-year-old, 16-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurial story starts when we got here. I worked for the city of Daphne part-time, and I just, kind of started back the landscape business that way with the equipment that I had in Oklahoma, brought it across the country. And entrepreneurship and the story is, I think some of it is brains, some of it is hard work, but some of it is a whole lot of luck. If you were around Baldwin County in 2004, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I could not have been dropped in here at a better time. all I had to do was put out some flyers, and I had
Mhm.
enough work to just immediately get started. Within 2 years, I actually had to go have a conversation with the city of Daphne's public works like director and just say, hey man, I've got so much work. It was probably within like 16 months. It was less than 2 years that I have to kind of just go. I have to get off this deal. I was doing that just to make sure that I had money coming in because Jordan told me I always had to have a job. And within like less than 2 years, I had enough for me to sort of sustain me and, hire a little helper. And then we really kind of rocked that for another year and a half. And I don't know that I was prepared for this, and I don't know that everyone's prepared for this, but this is kind of a message that should get out there. Before too long, because I think I was trying to chase every dollar, and I didn't have a real clear defined target market. So I was working for anyone that would pay me, and by about 2006, I think it was 2005, 2006, I was working, no lie, I was calculating it. I was working about 80 to 90 hours a week. And that sounds crazy. But it was Monday through Saturday was work, and Sunday was almost all day just trying to do the books and invoicing. And then, and it was like, go work with the crew during the day, and then have a clean shirt in the truck, and then go meet with clients in the afternoon. And it would be lots of times I would leave at like 6, and I would get home at like 8, 9, eat something, and then I would draw like some designs or something at night usually from about 10:30 till about 1:30, and I would do it again. And I was like, oh my God, this is unsustainable because I made about $30,000. So we had I had built a relationship with a guy that had a lawn care company, kind of like a franchise owner of a national lawn care company in the area, and was kind of complaining to him. And he's like, look, I could buy you out, whatever. And we sat down in our kitchen table with him, I think his wife too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking, and essentially this is what the deal was. Hey, look, we'll just take over your business and we'll pay you a salary. And it was not a good deal, right? I was like, no, we're not doing that.
But we were really close to like just being done with it for sure.
The need
like
for
we're kind
safety.
of glossing over that of like, I mean,
yeah, you're right.
we were not doing well because at that point,
Did you have kids yet?
we
by
had
then?
Ezra. Yep, Ezra. And at that point, it was, get out of the Coast Guard because I either had to stay in or I had to move to Oregon.
No, you had to get out or move to Oregon.
Like get out
Yeah.
or move to Oregon. Yeah. And so obviously we made the decision that the potential for
Well, we were like just setting down roots because all your family was here.
yes,
and all of that
and the
stuff.
potential for having more success was going to be found in owning and operating a successful business, not necessarily in staying in and
Yeah.
being
Not
away
that
from
we were
family.
doing that at the time.
No, not that we were doing that, but the potential. But also, I would have gone to a boat. I didn't want to be separated from, especially having a little, like Ezra was little. So it just wasn't going to work for us. So we got out. And so drained all of our savings to pay off all of our debt. We had no debt besides whatever like business debt we had.
Yeah.
But personally, we did not have any debt. And lived on a budget. I mean, we were, our kids were on WIC. I mean, we were on the struggle bus.
WIC, by the way, Keith, is food stamps.
I
Just
I
in
know.
a,
it's a prettier way of saying food
much
stamps, I guess.
much nicer way.
And it was, so when we were at the point of selling our business, I like security. And so I'm like, sell it. Let's get 9 to 5 regular job. I was like, you could go work at Home Depot. Not that there's anything wrong with working at Home Depot, but that's in my head, the need for security was really, really high. And luckily he did not listen to me.
So I used to read this one guy's article in a trade magazine. It's not even a magazine anymore. It was called whatever.
Oh,
I don't know.
gosh,
It's not Lawn and Landscape, but it was Pro Magazine. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy named Monroe Porter wrote an article in the back of it, and it sounded different than all the other articles. It was like data-based. And it was really like how to make money, not to like how to build culture and all that stuff. I was not concerned with culture. I was like concerned with not going broke. And I gave that guy a call after we decided not to sell, probably the next day.
It was pretty quick.
And I talked to him, and he's like, "Hey, look, this is what we do, whatever, right? It's a peer group. It's, you come together, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "I'm not going to come see you. You come see me. We keep the expenses down that way. It's about $6,000 a year." And at that time, it might as well have been $600,000. So I was like, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do that." He's like, "Look, I'll set you up a payment plan." He's like, "Most everyone that starts, they can't do it either. So just all I need you to do is get to Richmond, Virginia, January, whatever, for a couple of days, and we'll set you up from there." I was like, "Cool, I can do that." And he gave me a couple of numbers, and I called this other guy, Jamie Nedick Assess. And the funny thing is like that peer group completely changed our lives.
Completely.
And when we talk about coaching and stuff like that here, and when we talk about giving back and giving out information, I got a real I've got real experience with that changing my life. Like, it wasn't just the consultant and helping me set up my books, not the way the accountant wanted to do, but the way that helps me read my business, And it wasn't just that, like, hey, we all know to track man hours, put them on a whiteboard and make your team right in there so they are visually and physically aware of what their hours were and what the estimated hours were. And they know if they're winning or losing, that kind of stuff. It was that, but it doesn't hit and it doesn't stick unless you start building this community around it all. And what happened is those guys ended up, and I was in that peer group for 17 years. They became like my best friends. And some of them are the guys that have been on this podcast. Clint Allison, Chad Warwig. Have we had Jamie Nedick Assess on?
No, we have not.
Ross Moore. Have you seen Ross? Has he been on this podcast?
I don't think he's been on.
Steve Bousquet. All of those guys were tremendous influences in my life. And I never would have tapped into that. My life would have been totally different if I didn't make that phone call, or if it was 15 years later and Monroe wasn't taking any new clients or whatever. I don't know what it was, but luck plays such a big role in everything. And probably taking chances too, because I took a chance to just call someone even though I didn't have any money and just said, "Hey, can you help me?" And it was a bad, it wasn't a great time. It's not fun. I got dreams and aspirations to have a wonderful life and build this great life and be a provider and raise this child that we have. And the reality is that the kid was on freaking welfare and my wife was the only one really making any money. And I'm just killing myself, never there. She doesn't see me. Well, let's be honest. She probably wasn't very happy with me at the time either. And we weren't getting along great because I was stressed out. She was stressed out. And we had a lot of insecurities about what our future was. And that peer group really changed our lives, in not just business. And that's probably has a lot to do with the whole concept of this podcast, is that when we started to straighten our business life out, our regular life started to straighten out too. And because we were already living on a budget, but when we put the business on a budget, it was like when you live on a budget, you almost feel like you get a 20% pay raise, because you're not spending, the $7 on a latte or buying the $4.50 OK magazine at the grocery checkout.
I loved those. Gosh,
yeah.
I loved those.
There's that little dig.
I know.
And
it's better than National Enquirer.
Yeah, I love those. But so it just started to work better like that. And I'm not saying money buys happiness, but self-confidence buys happiness. Mm-hmm. And self-confidence comes from being successful. And being successful comes from being disciplined in your decisions and sticking with something and developing a good solid plan and sticking with the plan long enough to see the fruits from that labor. And our life started to kind of change. That's our origin story.
Do y'all
there.
Want to does anybody want to pee?
Oh, okay.
Can we take a break? Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friend Wes Cody. He's the president of C2 Wealth Strategies, a financial advisory firm dedicated to providing personalized solutions for your financial needs. Wes and his team of professionals are passionate about helping clients create wealth and achieve financial freedom. At C2 Wealth Strategies, they believe in taking a holistic approach to financial planning and are committed to building long-lasting relationships with their clients, ensuring their financial well-being every step of the way. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Contact Wes and C2 Wealth today at c2wealth.com to schedule a consultation. Let Wes and his team help you build your financial future.
I want to take a moment to talk about someone who's been instrumental in my personal and business success. That's Johnny Barranco and his team at Barranco and Associates. For over 7 years, Johnny has been my go-to accountant and financial consultant. I can tell you that he's more than just a tax preparer. Johnny takes a holistic approach to all my financial dealings, aligning them with my long-term plans and personal lifestyle. I've recommended Johnny to several friends throughout different business groups around the country, and the feedback has been nothing short of exceptional. His expertise and service are top-notch. So if you're looking for someone who not only prepares your taxes, but also helps you strategize for the future, Johnny and his team at Barranco and Associates are the ones to call. Trust me, you won't regret it. So contact Johnny Barranco today and take the first steps towards financial peace. You're not going to regret this.
Okay, so we have been talking way too much. Let's get Keith and Stephanie in here.
Oh, great.
So tell your story.
Well, our origin story, I mean, we don't have near as many details. Well, we do. Like, we both have origin stories, but those people couldn't join us in studio today. So it's really not, it's probably not fair to, tell all the details of those origin stories when they can't tell their side of the story. But some of the same failure, struggles, all that good stuff. But yeah, starting out when you're 20 versus starting out when you're 40 is definitely a different experience.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Happy anniversary.
Is today your anniversary?
No, it was last week.
No, it was Monday.
Happy belated. That's why I went to the beach.
No. Okay. So we were going to the beach, and then Keith remembered while we were at the beach that our anniversary was the next week. And then he decided to make it, this is our anniversary.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I thought it was a vision summit.
That too. It was
Yes.
a vision. It was good. It was great all the way around.
Yeah, we had a great
time.
The beach in October is like
It's
the
my
best
favorite.
time.
It's my
Especially this
favorite.
year. It was warm and beautiful.
Also, this is one thing I thought earlier. You did not, you graduated in the 90s. You forgot how old you are. You had kids in 2002.
Yes, I graduated in 1995. Her car was a 1995.
Oh, yeah.
95?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she
thought
had
you said a
95.
2002.
No,
95,
I got
that's
you.
cool.
No, but she had the 1995 car in 2002.
Oh, I got you.
There
to
it
me,
is.
95 doesn't sound that old.
Until you do the math.
And then
you're
I
like,
do the
"Gosh."
math and I'm like,
I
oh,
was
dear.
like in elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, how'd you meet?
So we have lived in the same community for years. So we knew of each other. We had interaction, that kind of thing. We actually first met in a coffee shop, I think.
Which
That is
coffee
not
shop?
shocking to me.
I know. That's where we
Refuge?
spend a lot.
No,
Refuge
Page
was
and
not
Pallet.
even
I
a
didn't think
thought
so.
at the
Refuge
time.
was a thing.
Page and Pallet, the
Oh, yeah,
bookstore.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Coffee shop?
that was my favorite place to be, was in a bookstore.
Yeah,
It
mine
still
too.
is.
Yeah.
It still is. I love it. But we became friends. Our relationship was very much more of a sibling type relationship. We were going through some struggles at similar times, and and he still is. He was my very best friend, still is my very best friend. But it was a unique kind of beginning. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you know how that you got put in the friend group, the friend line
Oh,
for a little while?
You should find someone who actually likes you.
Yeah, she
Let's
called
just
me,
keep saying
for
that,
a long
yeah.
time, she called me her gay best friend.
Oh.
So, every girl
that's what
needs
I
a good...
called you too.
Yeah, I know.
Still do, yeah.
Well,
So
now Judah's taking that role.
it was like I would be sitting on my couch and on a Friday night, and he would say, well, I can't say exactly what he was going to say. It was very rude sometimes, but it's like, if you don't get up off that couch, I mean, you're going to be, your life's going to be over.
Yeah,
you're not
going to be an old lady with,
you're going to be an old lady.
With
yep,
cats.
you're going to be a spinster, that kind of thing. And so then he was going to set me up, with a friend of his, or, some more like people that like wore real shoes and had nice haircuts and looked a little more stable, than he did with his long hair and flip flops.
Yeah.
But remember, that's your favorite picture of him.
That is my favorite picture, though.
Yeah.
It's when the hair was good before he cut it. And then one night, he was supposed to set me up with this friend, and this friend had something come up with a kid and said, "Oh, we can't get together tonight." And he said, "I mean, me and you could still hang out." And it was pretty much downhill from there.
And you know how you said you had a kiss?
Yeah.
The kiss started it all.
Oh, look
Dude,
at that.
It
was a
did.
really good
It
kiss.
was.
Can we go back to that?
Jordan
I feel
doesn't
like
even remember the
I don't.
kiss.
And I'm like, it was not as memorable for me at that moment.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
Well, I think it's one of those things
most
where
other
it had
things
been
of
like
that nature.
a build-up probably for so long. That was part of it.
Oh, a build-up.
The anticipation.
Yeah.
Y'all liked each other for longer than
it was like
we
a
had
rom-com.
chemistry. We had chemistry, but it was like, no, this is not ever going to be a
this
thing.
is every rom-com that I've ever seen.
Having past relationships and being in past marriages is a very tricky thing. And so I thought I just wanted to be long-haired, flip-flop dude that could just do anything I wanted. And I realized that when I got tied down, that I would have to like live to a certain expectation that I didn't want to live. I'd been living,
like responsibility.
Like responsibility. And so, what I thought is that I couldn't be what I needed to be.
Mm-hmm. He was looking at property in Nicaragua.
Oh,
That tells you anything.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Keith talking about it a lot. Nicaragua.
Had property. A deal in Nicaragua. Working.
Well, can we go back to you were concerned about getting tied down and having responsibilities?
Mm-hmm.
See, it didn't even play out like that. Now you're tied down, but you don't have responsibilities.
Because she does everything.
I am his biggest responsibility.
It's like, Keith texted me the other day, "Hey, you want to go to a golf tournament with me?" I'm like, "No, it's Monday."
I know.
What are you talking about? I got responsibilities.
But I think from the entrepreneurial standpoint, we've been married 6 years.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you went through at 25, we're going through at 40.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
true.
even though, it's a little easier on us because we have more assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the same learning curve happens even in a new relationship because you're learning how to do life and you're learning, like in some ways I've changed my identity even in business because of the way that I view my family, right? And so that's been a very unique thing that I've not worried about, that I've been intentional about, of what I get to re-envision what do I want to be in some ways.
Stage of life has a lot to do with that too.
Stage of life has
totally different
a lot
stage
kids
of
out
life.
of the house.
Yeah.
Except
you
JA,
don't have
out.
that. Yeah, she's so independent.
Like last night was
they don't have that. You don't have that option when you're 20.
No.
Like last night was Halloween, and I saw the pictures of you guys like trick or treating and crabbing, and me and her were just laying in the bed with no responsibility.
Actually, he was at the cigar shop, and I was in the bed watching Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, when you're 20, you're just broke and scared. When you're 40, you're probably like not broke, hopefully, and you've got options, which that's probably, I don't know which one's worse, but it's different.
But I will say one thing that we like, you talk about, being married to an entrepreneur or growing up in that, but I don't know the difference. I was raised by one.
Oh.
My first husband was an entrepreneur. Like, that's been my only experience.
Okay.
And I didn't really think about that until we were like getting ready for this podcast. I was like, I don't know really about what the whole 9 to 5 thing is.
Oh, yeah.
However, I think that coming into our marriage, you looked for some security that you never had in being married to an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
and it's still a wild ride.
Well, I think that was the whole thing of coming out of like a volatile situation. Like, yeah, of course you were going to be like, nope, not do it. Yeah, that was bad. Not doing this again. It's going to be stability. It's going to be security. And then you look at somebody with long hair and flip flops, and you're like, nope, let's turn around and go in that different direction. That's not it.
Next.
Yeah. So that was a little leap of faith, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a leap of faith every day. Like, I mean, as far as business goes, the zeros just get more. Like we talk about all the time. As your business grows, you still take chances. And as we've talked about over the last few weeks, both of us have taken some chances that didn't work out. And so it puts you back in a situation that's kind of feels rocky at some point still. So the rockiness, I don't think in entrepreneurship and marriage ever goes away.
Oh God, yeah. I would like utopia and continued peace and balance, but I don't think that's an option either.
Yeah. So you ladies weigh in. I mean, as far as
here was a question I was going to say. You guys work together.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's not necessarily just the typical things you think about with being married to an entrepreneur, but a lot of the work we do overlaps, and that's our biggest struggle. And you're talking about compartmentalization, which he thinks that you should be he thinks you should be able to do. I don't.
It's tough.
He was like, I want to get to that. And I'm thinking, I don't think it's so much of our life. We were talking the other night, we were sitting on the back porch, and I do tend to talk about work kind of related things because that is such a big part of our life. I mean, how you spend your time during the day is pretty much your life. And he was like, I don't want to talk about work. Let's talk about something else. I'm like, okay, well, what would that be? And of course, he gave a very Keith answer. I don't know, like our love. What are you even talking about?
Could you just tell me how you love me?
Our love. Let's just talk about our love. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I hate it when you pull your love away.
Oh God, that's a story. That's a story.
Such a story.
But
we should sell our group texts.
Oh,
we should.
We would. Yes,
we'd probably get canceled.
And that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys work together, and that's a challenge trying to navigate that.
Well, because if you believe in the, and it is kind of crazy that voodoo Enneagram thing, like aren't we like the least? What is it?
We're the least compatible, but the most compatible.
When you're at your healthy number, whatever that is, I don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
So that means we got to keep ourselves healthy, which means
work out,
which means
eat
work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
stay connected,
mentally healthy, like we're in our best selves, that kind of deal.
Yeah. Make eye contact.
But he's all the eye contact. But he's very much the dreamer and the visionary, which I try to respect, but also drives me nuts. Because I'm like, let's do the thing.
Yeah, girls are doers. Jordan is a doer.
Mm-hmm, very much so.
However, y'all have just began working together a little bit.
Well, we started, and
then Jordan quit.
Well, back in the day, Jordan used to be at the front desk answering the phones, doing the
Sexton,
invoices,
at the landscape company,
doing all that stuff.
She did not do that for very long.
We did not. We realized very, very quickly that that was not going to be good for our relationship. We're just very different in the way that we do things. And so being, and I don't do well with, not separating and compartmentalizing because, I just can't shut that part of my brain off. And I don't really think you can either.
Well, at work, it was just, this is the way, in my mind, it needed to be done. And she thought, this is the way it needed to be. No, this is the way it needed to be done. And there really is only room for one boss.
And we were both pretty strong-willed. We're strong-willed people, for sure.
That is for sure. And so, but with the gym's a funny story, where Jordan thought it was a terrible idea that we would start a CrossFit gym.
I did.
She's like, that's the dumbest thing ever. I can't believe you're doing this. What are you thinking? And then I was like, but here's the kicker. We're going to add jujitsu to it too. She's like, oh my God, you're you're insane. You're
Hated every possible idea of that.
Yeah. And then here, and it's sort of morphs and it's going along, right? And that first coach didn't really work out, and it wouldn't have worked out anyways. And it was like Jordan had kind of gotten sucked into the community, and she can't help but like be the what would you call that? Community director. You know what I'm saying? Jordan needs like a summer camp,
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say this, like she's a wonderful community director, like the best.
Pretty fantastic.
Well, and not only that, now tell them what you are, Jordan.
A world champion weightlifter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my God.
Like
She
she
never
would
wanted
never
to go
be
to
the
CrossFit.
world champion had she not had started a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. Had I listened to her.
Yeah.
I need to remind her about that. You never listened to me. Had I listened to you, you wouldn't have the life you have.
Well,
and the hobbies and everything else. Really.
I am going to back up a little bit and like, okay, we're starting to talk about the gym, and this may or may not be relatable to people that listen to this podcast. I don't know, but I imagine that a lot of people are married or want to be one day or whatever. But it's been my experience in many, I guess, areas of when I say I'm not going to do something, I end up, I'm going to end up doing it. Whereas I said I was never going to be a stay-at-home mom. That was not anything I wanted to do. I had always had a job. I worked from the time I turned 16 until our third child was born. And so I started staying home with him, and I thought, wow, this is like a part of my life that I can, that I never thought I wanted, but it ended up being some of the best times for our family. Like, we took kind of a risk, me staying home because I always had income. And I started staying home. We made sacrifices for sure to make that happen, but it went back to, living on a budget. And I kind of fell into a different role in our marriage. He's always been the entrepreneur. I don't ever think of creating anything. That is not my personality. Now, you give me a list of 100 things that I need to do. I'm very good at making sure all those things are done. But the, staying home, it just kind of opened up this whole other aspect of our marriage, but also like I kind of turned more into a support role. I started watching Food Network and actually taught myself how to cook. That's how all that happened,
Yeah.
which I have not, to my knowledge, made anyone sick in many, many, many years. Thank God. But it kind of turned into, me kind of taking care of the day-to-day, Monday through Sunday, making sure like he doesn't need to worry about whether our kids have clean clothes because he's thinking about, the 10-year goal. Trust me, the 10-year goal does not enter my brain unless he makes me talk about it because I don't think that way. And so I guess my main thought is, having those, you talk about your Enneagrams being like the most incompatible and all that. Like, I think those are probably good things in that Sid and I are very different. And I don't know that we would work the way that we do if I was a visionary too. If I was always thinking about the, 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan, and he was thinking about that, well, then who's going to feed the kids? Like that kind of stuff.
And what if your plans differ?
Right. And,
Like,
yeah.
And I just think that it's, for people that, are either, starting businesses or freshly married or been married for a long time or second marriage, it's all right to have those differences. But I think part of it is kind of recognizing what those differences are and, maybe is it the right person in the right seat kind of thing, I don't know. That's just kind of a thought for me that.
Well, I think today, the thought of roles in marriage is almost sexist.
Yeah. And it's, and when I went back to kind of that traditional, that's not necessarily the word I need to use, but it just worked the best for us because, we ended up our marriage was more successful that way. you know,
I mean, our family thrived.
our family
The
really
dinners around the
thrived.
table.
Yeah.
Well, and what I was going to say is you can't be an entrepreneur or be in a relationship and be entrepreneurs without having roles. There's no way to do that. Maybe people with day-to-day jobs can do that, but it's impossible to be a business owner and be married and not have your responsibilities and my responsibilities. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and I think too, like if I go back to the gym, because now I've taken on another role. My kids are older. They're way more independent. Like it ends up being kind of the perfect avenue, I guess, for me, because I do love people, you know, and it isn't something that I, for whatever reason, have to really work at. You know, I relate to people. Sid used to always say that I could be friends with like Osama bin Laden because I'd at least talk to him, you know, because that's just my
What's with
personality.
that tail thing on your head? That's so interesting.
Don't you get hot?
It's
it
so hot out there.
warm?
Why are your whole body
What's your hair
covered?
look like?
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it's just, again, because I'm not a visionary, if you had asked me when the time came that they were talking about a CrossFit gym, if I actually thought that was really going to happen, I would have 100% put all my cards on the fact that it was not going to happen and that I didn't want it to happen.
Vehemently actually stayed at the other CrossFit gym for a while.
Because I did not want it to
protest.
happen. Yeah. And and it, you know, like most things that Sid puts me up to end up working out.
Well, and because
well.
it only had one door in and out.
Yeah.
The first one did.
Yeah. And
Just
no
a roll
bathroom.
up and no bathroom.
Yeah. No bathroom.
People have
I
peed
remember
on
that.
lots of car tires.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
would have to go
To Scott's or to mine.
or to your
That was
porta potty.
terrible.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
That's why lots of car tires had been peed
Yeah.
on.
It was bad. I have no idea how we made it out of that. But
Luck. I mean, luck. That's what it is.
I was going to say luck played a big role in that. And then, Scott and I were starting that whole gym. Keith got us logos and got some stuff. I mean, it just was kind of a fun little side deal until Jordan and Brittany got involved.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan is just really good at like community kind of driving the whole thing and takes it really personal. And I'll say our kids had gotten to, an age where it was okay to sort of like have that deal. And it was still more of like a part-time gig.
Mm-hmm.
And this is luck. And I didn't have some great vision that I'm going to start this CrossFit gym to give my wife, more purpose in life, But I think we can all agree here that like you see her there, you see her writing the emails, you see her doing social media, and that's like what she's supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
That's what she's supposed to be doing, and it just worked out that way because we took a chance,
Well, I think even in marriage and entrepreneurship, that if one of the spouses sees something in the other,
Yeah.
it's your responsibility as the visionary of whoever's the visionary of the relationship to draw it out.
Yeah, and just going, that's
And so
your,
there's
that's
been
your
a
gift.
lot of
Well,
time.
and Keith's so good at that. He's just good at that with people in general. And there's a lot of people that could attest to that. But he's done it with me. He can see things in people that they definitely can't see in themselves, or that maybe no one else has noticed either. And so that's definitely played. Like I'm doing things a good portion of the things that I do now are because he said, he called out those gifts in me.
Or either I'd just drop it in her lap. I'd be like, you can do this. Just,
Yeah,
just
or
do
that.
That's
Yeah.
really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just don't get a choice.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
that's one visionary tactic,
Mhm.
So
Here's the plan. Make it happen.
So yeah, let's so after you guys met and you guys start coming together, working together, tell me about some of the things that Keith drew out of you, because I think that's actually we landed on something there.
Well, I mean, he connecting me with like he had a lot of projects that I guess my skill set needed. And so, it kind of grew from there. And as that grew, I you start to get, you were talking about confidence earlier. It gives you a little bit of confidence to take on other projects that you might have thought you weren't capable of doing before. I still am adamant that I'm not a writer, yet I spend so much of my time writing things.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Yeah,
That's what when I think
fight.
of you,
Nope.
the subtitle under Stephanie Glines is writer in my mind. Is it you?
100%.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I don't see that at all. That is one of those things it's just like has been put in my lap to do.
I've been around.
That's crazy.
I've
good at it.
I've been
now,
around.
I'll say this. I mean, my background's in journalism.
I was about to say.
But I mean,
I have been around a lot of writers in my life. And she is by far the best I've ever been around.
Yeah, she's great.
I think when I think of writer, I just think like creative writers, and I don't see myself as like a creative writer. Like now, marketing, writing, journalism type. Yeah, I can do that in my sleep. But I've been forced to apply that skill to places that are technically that I'm not comfortable with.
Oh, no growth in the comfort zone, Steph.
I know.
There you go.
We are launching a product in the next couple of weeks that is absolutely the best product, content-wise, that I've ever been a part of.
And it's all due to your
and
wife.
it's all due to her.
Well, here we go. She doesn't even know what it is. It's okay. Well, we'll tell you about it when it happens.
Yeah, please do.
You're on a need-to-know basis.
I
We
definitely.
don't want to hear your pushback because it won't matter. We're going forward with it anyways. That's
Well, no,
kinda how we operate.
it's already completed.
Yeah.
Tim knows what I'm talking about.
All
Yeah.
right.
So,
But yeah, that's probably a good one. Just seeing something in your spouse, and I don't know that you don't know that you necessarily need to make a business out of it, but like that's kind of our lives, but maybe there's some overlap in there too.
no, I just saw the gifts inside of her, and I was like,
I
can
let
get these for free.
Why
Yes.
let the
I can get these for
money
free.
go anywhere else?
Yeah, just keep it in the home,
Mhm.
you
Right.
know, whether
The
it's
only
margin or direct pay.
The only problem with that is this: when it doesn't work out,
Oh yeah.
there's some fights in the home.
Yeah.
And so our disagreements in the home of, why'd you have me do that for free?
Or when the visionary is playing golf while I'm
yeah.
at the computer. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't have any solutions for
But
that.
then that's fine, but then you have to go to bed at night and then you're supposed to leave that at the door of the bedroom. That can't.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And then you mingle all of that with other people's children.
With all the baggage
and
that
other
you brought
people's-
in.
And so,
Other people's children. Your children and hers.
yeah.
Oh, other
And so,
people's.
yeah.
Oh, your spouse.
You know,
Yeah,
all that
almost thousand-
second,
I
all
didn't
that,
know what you're talking
all that
about.
Yeah,
second marriage
so that's
baggage
something you
that
get
brought
in
in.
a
I don't mean the kids are baggage. That's not what I mean. Emotional baggage.
I'm pretty
Let me
sure.
clarify.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
an
whenever
emotional
you say
baggage.
other people's children, you're saying JA, and I think you like her better than you like your kids.
Oh,
Well,
God.
yeah, well, and it.
Yeah, they have a
we
special-
would be talking about the other way
Oh,
around
okay.
here. The adults that are out of our house now.
Shout out to Austin when you
Well,
hear this.
you know,
You're not
it is
welcome back
different.
to Thanksgiving.
It is different when you come into a child's life when they're itty bitty versus when they're
When
much
they're
already
older,
adults.
yeah.
that's
It's just
good
a
point.
totally
How
different
old
dynamic.
was JA when you guys got
Eight.
Oh
married?
gosh,
8?
7,
But
8.
I was in her life
prior.
prior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so
God, has it been 8?
yeah,
I mean,
her. Let's be real honest. I'm her parent.
Main parent.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, when I don't know what she's doing most of the time. It's well, I asked Keith. Keith said, which is
Yeah.
fine.
That's crazy. 8 years.
So I mean, I'm thinking back to when you're 8. Do you remember like when you're 7 and 8? Like I don't know that she'll remember.
Mm-mm. I
Or
mean, I
what
remember
she'll
like good
remember.
things. I
Yeah,
remember
I
like
remember
fun stuff. I don't
of
remember.
him.
I chipped my tooth riding my bike trying to ramp a ditch.
Yeah,
and
I mean, like you remember
landed
like silly
and hit
stuff.
my-
I think.
But like, will she remember
Bad.
life without like a life before Keith? And that's a very different growing up experience.
Oh, yeah.
Then when your kids
When
are
you're-
16.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's
So-
like
That's a good point.
my dad brought this young chick home.
Oh my
that
gosh.
kind of thing. But
Yeah. Oh well. Man, 8 years since that wedding. All I remember
But
about the
I
wedding
will say
Is that we were late?
6 years since the wedding.
the wedding.
Yeah, they were together too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember Scott's speech.
Oh my
it
gosh.
was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
I just
He
remember
knocked it out of
being
the
late.
park.
We missed you walking down the aisle because we were late.
She
I
looked
don't
so
remember
beautiful.
that.
Did look
She
beautiful.
did.
I was expecting everything to be perfect after that
Oh
day.
gosh, me too.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with y'all.
Yes.
Ours was such a train
Yeah,
wreck.
no, ours was like started out with all these set up these
Oh,
expectations.
ours was terrible.
You know
Ours-
what? We were actually having this conversation about, to me, I feel like relationships and vacations are the same. If you go into both of those things with zero expectations, you cannot be disappointed.
That's profound.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, pull that clip, Tim.
That's
I mean,
profound.
you literally cannot be disappointed.
Jordan is dropping some knowledge bombs.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this is such a dumb example, but we went. It was for our 5th wedding anniversary. No, maybe our 10th. I don't remember. One of our big, like one of the 5s. 5, 10, 15, whatever. We had, a little bit of money that we could go do something, and we were like, okay, let's go on like the biggest bang for our buck. So we're like, we're going to go on a cruise. We're like, initially we're thinking, oh man, I've just heard so many things, and we're like, nope, we're just going to go and have a good time. And if it just totally stinks, who cares? It was, we got to just hang out together. We had the best vacation because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't like really plan.
Mm-mm.
We've gone on vacations with other people where we don't plan anything, and we just go and have a good
God,
time.
that's why I love vacationing with Jordan because she
Yeah.
has it all planned.
Oh gosh,
have to
no,
think.
you don't do anything.
You do it when you for other people though. You're
Oh.
very good about like planning out all of our vacations
Oh,
together.
but like for us, oh man, we just fly by the seat of our pants, and and it's really been awesome. And that kind of the same thing with marriage. I mean, I think there are some things definitely that as you get older and
Have expectations like you always have to have a job.
well, yeah. But
yeah,
I mean,
what a lame expectation.
I
know. but you know what I mean?
no, there are definitely basic expectations.
Yes, but you know what I mean? Like I didn't have any like real expectations of like like planning what a 5-year marriage was going to look like, because I don't know. I mean, I just went in with it kind of ignorant a little bit and just going, it'll be fine. And
I think I always had like visions of what that was.
Maybe
well,
this is
and
just
like
me.
the
I'll say
difference
this. Go
is
ahead.
like expectations are one thing. Yes, you should have expectations from the other person, but I think where we get in trouble is when we have this picture
yes
of what
and they don't
life is going to
line
be.
up with
Yeah.
what your picture
Mm.
looks like.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I have that recorded.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was easy. It's
I think I've always had a vision about what I wanted my life to be like and all of that stuff, to the point, this is kind of crazy, when Jordan told me, and we had a plan. We were not going to get pregnant until I was 30 and she would have been
25.
26.
30, 20, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And that didn't happen. Whatever. We got excited.
yay,
Got
Ezra.
got
See?
excited.
No expectations.
She says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." I'm like, "That's cool." After I settled down for a second,
Had
I was
a
like, "It's
freak out.
it's going to be a boy, and we're going to name him Ezra."
well,
That
and-
is true. That
and-
is true.
Right?
We never even
didn't even
chose a girl
discuss
name.
it.
Yeah.
Didn't like. It's not. We're just.
We tried to
whatever.
do that with Emma, and that didn't work out.
That didn't work out.
It was going to be a boy.
I wanted to name her Stevie. After
Steve,
Stevie
you could have
Nicks.
still done that.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Wouldn't that have been awesome?
But,
and I wanted Evan to be Van, and we had to like settle on Evan.
Evan, yeah.
Evan. I was like, oh, we'll still call him Van. It didn't stick. Pookie stuck.
Yeah,
Of all
Come on,
things.
Pookie. But I mean, yeah,
That's
we did.
that's because he's Jordan's favorite.
I know.
It's not
he
my
really
favorite.
Jordan.
It's just my favorite age.
Jordan.
Shh.
That's all right.
Emma's your favorite.
That's-
Although
I
Ezra
don't
is your
know.
favorite too.
I felt-
Ezra is both of our favorites.
I think they're all. I like
I
them
know
all.
we like them all at times.
Good. You say that. The kids may listen to this.
They're
They're
never
never gonna listen to
never,
this.
never,
Okay.
never, not a
Okay.
possibility.
No worries.
No, they will never. We send Ezra podcasts all the time that I'm pretty sure he never even opens.
That's true.
Jane Addison's opens up when she's somewhere with me. Hey, I'm his favorite.
Yeah,
she's
she does-
very open
Yeah,
about
Emma
it.
says that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well,
Well, girls, you want them to think that they're your favorite.
Definitely. All of
Always.
them.
well, he's
Correct.
just very much a pushover when it comes to her.
Yeah.
Like we have 2 dogs now and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that one's tough. And we have a cat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Said no cat.
I
We have a
said no
cat.
cat, but we have a cat, whatever. But yeah, girls, and especially the middle child, I was like, oh my gosh, she's got to know that I'm her favorite at all times.
That she's your favorite.
And yeah, she's my favorite. Yeah, I said that wrong. And man, it's worked out really well. She kind of is confident and mature and, seems to be no damage.
No middle child syndrome.
No damage. No middle child syndrome.
Oh man.
All right. What else we got? What other, from the ladies, what aspects of being married to an entrepreneur should the listener know? What are some things? Stephanie's looking at her notes.
Nothing here.
Oh, goodness.
The paper's cute though.
It's it's another security thing.
Yeah. What are some things?
Communication.
Communication. Tell me more about that.
I'm married to a terrible communicator.
And so how do you, I would not disagree. How do you deal with that?
Well, I've gotten to the point now where I try to just let a lot of it go.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm better at that than other times. But I do like the idea of setting time to communicate about things, like specific times. And I'd say that we're not great at this. But when we do it, it makes such a difference.
Setting time
to discuss all things.
Having a family
L10?
L10.
Sort of,
yeah.
yes.
When and where?
Again, because we're not consistent at it. Back porch is a lot of the time where that happens.
I like that. That'd be a good name for a production company.
Wouldn't it? I know.
But I will tell you, I will tell you when it comes to a family L10, she catches me on the back porch at 4
a.m.?
4 p.m.
Oh, that seems perfect.
I would rather have.
That's when he says he wants to talk about our love.
Yeah.
He's got decision fatigue at that point.
Correct. And so I would say that it would be better. If you're going to do it, you need to do it anytime and make room for it. But it would be better to do it earlier in the week and maybe in the morning and get away from your house to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
neutral
off-site.
Yeah, you need a neutral place.
Uh-huh.
But obviously, whatever works best for your schedule. Just do it, though.
Okay. There was, just to the communication part, there was a time, no lie, here recently, that Stephanie called. It was about 8:30 a.m. Keith answered the phone. And she's like, where are you? Why are you in New Orleans?
Yes.
Keith and I went to New Orleans for a conference. I had no idea that he just got up and left without her.
So where had we been? Wherever we had been, we didn't get home until midnight.
Like 1 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he turned around last minute and decided he was going to go with Sid, and he just left me asleep and didn't say anything. This is so strange. Have I forgotten? Nope, it's just communication.
Yeah, just communication.
Don't worry. You're not the only one that I have communication problems with. Forrest, in our Vision Day, made Sid and I go through a whole communication process together.
Yeah.
We had to look at each other in the eyes.
No, that's their favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I cried
Was it
a little.
uncomfortable there though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about one of our newest sponsors, Red Branch Outdoor Living. They create environments to bring people together by providing a turnkey solution for outdoor living with remarkable customer experience. They specialize in outdoor kitchens, pavilions, patios, pools, spas, and fire features. And they do it with integrity, innovation, and being remarkable. They did my outdoor space, and it turned out amazing. Check them out at redbranchconstruction.com.
I want to give a shout out to a friend and sponsor of ours, Chris Drogmiller from CMD Fencing. Let me tell you, I've had the pleasure of working with Chris personally over the last 3 or 4 years, and I've never encountered a fence contractor who excels in communication, craftsmanship, and timeliness like he does. Chris always delivers. I mean it. Fair prices, top-notch work, always on budget, and the best part for me, always on time. So if you're in need of a fence company to help you with a fence or any other outdoor wooden structure, give Chris a call. You won't be disappointed. Get in touch with Chris and let him and his team take care of all your fencing needs. CMD Fencing. being married to an entrepreneur, what are some things that you've experienced? What are some things that you should know? What are some tips, tricks, hacks, what have you?
I think one I've kind of maybe latched onto recently is I think back initially, we were talking about doing things out of fear, and a lot of your decision making processes are based out of fear, and this probably just comes with growing up because we've kind of grown up together. But kind of recognizing when your I guess spouse, and this is good marriage advice anyway, but definitely entrepreneurial advice, because things are going to go ebb and flow, and just know that, be the person when they come home and they're telling you something, it's not always a time to freak out, listening, and obviously that communication part. But, I think 20 years ago when, Sid, if he would have come home and said, hey, someone stiffed us for $100,000, we might go broke. I think,
This is a true story.
because it actually did happen.
It was 128, but whatever.
I don't
Keep
like
going.
to talk about that because it still gives me the
It's
heebie-jeebies.
triggering.
But no, but I definitely 20 years ago would have freaked out and
I feel like you took it pretty well.
worried more. Yeah, but when you come home with stuff like, because again, business ebbs and flows, that, sometimes I have to reel in my emotions. We can't both be emotional about it at the same time.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mhm.
And because we're going to feed off of each other. If you're freaking out about something and then I'm freaking out about something, we're going to, and whether it's real or not, we're going to make that into more of an issue than it possibly is.
We will wind ourselves
We
up.
definitely will wind ourselves
There's
up.
only room for one person to be wound up.
And then I think, so that's a big one for me, probably in the last, 5 years probably. And then also just, man, having that kind of role structure has been, I think, has been really good for our marriage. Just the fact that, he doesn't have to worry about who's making dinner. I know that sounds so arbitrary, but it's real when you've got young kids and you've got that family life, that he kind of just gets to come home and be a part of it as opposed to having to plan it too.
Yeah. Jordan is our home integrator, and I get to be the home visionary. How
That's
about that?
great.
Just thought of that.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is a great
One thing back to what
process.
you were saying about the whole freaking out, and part of it, it's just life in general. Like maturity goes
Mhm.
a long way in that. Growing up,
For sure.
You're different. Hopefully, you're a little more mature at 40 than you are at 20, Keith.
Hope.
But
I still see flip-flops.
But
But
and
his
this
hair's
is
cut.
this is also because I imagine y'all have a lot of like young business guys listening, young marrieds kind of thing. And this is one thing that I wish I had known or somebody had told me in my 20s. And maybe this is because of the way I grew up. I pretty much grew up, Keith, how would you describe it? I mean, like a princess, like every privileged princess, all that kind of thing. So I thought like that my expectation was there wouldn't be anything difficult. Failure was the end. It would be the end of everything. Those kind of things. Just very naive, I think, to life. And I think one thing I would say is if someone had told me that if you fall flat on your face, it's okay.
You can get back
You
up.
will. And I think that's part of why, at 40's done a lot for me. But just the realization of when you've made it through some hard things and realize it's not the end of the world, that goes a long way. And that's one thing I would have known a long, long time ago.
Well, and that everything, you just kind of go back to the basics, right? So, over time, the goal, owning a business, having a family, whatever, the goal is to, kind of climb the ladder a little bit, get a little bit more successful every year. Well, obviously, that it goes like this. And so you just kind of get back to the basics of, okay, this year wasn't so hot. Let's look at our budget. How do we get back to, living on that
I know we were going to live poor in 2024, but now we
Everyone
have to
says
live
that.
poor in 2025
too.
Yeah.
Can we get a better rhyme? No, I feel like that doesn't sound near as cool.
2025, we're going to stay alive.
Yeah.
Stay alive. That's right.
Survive
There you
in
go. Survive in
2025.
2025.
But I mean,
I'm trying
like,
to thrive.
like
Yeah.
getting back to those basics of like we know instinctually, kind of how to do that, but it's easy to kind of get away from it just from living, and you're going to fail. That we all do, and like you said, just kind of getting back up, and that's been 2 or 3 times in the trajectory of.
Yeah. I think what Steph said. Well, the first one and the worst one for us was like 2009, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Literally bankrupt. Very like. I don't even know. I can't tell you. It was definitely luck and a God thing that we didn't just actually file the paperwork to be bankrupt. And all the guilt and shame that comes along with that and all that stuff. And just somehow, like really laid off every single person I could possibly lay off and then do the work of 3 people and still have like 3 people with me. I think it was 6. What that does is when, like you said, you get on the other side of that, it's pretty, you are resilient and you really understand that you're resilient. And really the overlap with all of that is we kind of all sign ourselves up for that on a pretty regular basis with voluntary pain and suffering in a workout, and you start it and you think there's no way I'm going to finish 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats and finish with a 1 mile run. And let me try to get this thing done under an hour or whatever, just getting it done in general. And when you get it done, you feel so great. It hurts during the middle of it. And I don't know what your internal dialogue is like in a workout like that. But mine's usually pretty rough until I get to the middle of it and I go, hey, you've done this a lot. Just make it through and just know how good you're going to feel on the other side. And this is really like, let's take an argument, with a spouse. Those things can get nasty and kind of feel terrible. And really the reason that, in my opinion, this is my assertion of it all, is that like, I'm like, why am I so upset about this? Well, that's really like my entire life and my entire future is kind of tied into this relationship here. And when I feel like it's threatened because I've done something wrong or we're just miscommunicating on such a level that she's calling me names and I'm calling her names.
Never.
I know.
We did say we're passionate people.
We are passionate people. There may have been things thrown before in the past. It's like, it's just fear that that's not going to work out, that something's bad's going to happen. And I don't know why that's always been in my head that I just don't want that, I want to build a team and like that, grow the team. So
I think when you're connected with your spouse, they're like, anyone can say something to me and I'd blow it off.
Right. Yeah.
Let Stephanie say it to me.
Yeah. It hurts a little harder.
And I come unglued. Because I value what she says.
Well, and it just hurts.
And it hurts.
And there's the one person you need. I need one person to love me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's going to have that one safe place, safe person.
Yeah. Because like most of the time I'm could care less what people think. But let her have a negative opinion and I'm coming unglued.
But back to the fear in the pain and all of that stuff in the CrossFit workout and in the relationship in the argument, it really is it's unrealistic fear. It's free floating anxiety. It's all of that crap that's not real. All I've got to do, and I feel like I've gotten pretty good at this, is just I'll step away. I get pretty logical about it and go, yep, that's a miscommunication. As a matter of fact, this is my part in it. This is what I did wrong. I'm sorry about that.
He's better about that than
Jordan still wants to fight. And I go, that's fine. You can be mad. It's okay. I'm going to go over here. But I want you to know that's my fault to do this. And I'm sorry about it. That's all I got to do. At that point, my side of the street is clean and I'm moving forward with the exercise.
If I do that, though, she says I'm manipulating.
Well, Jordan will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Jordan will say the same thing. And if I'm spiritually and mentally fit at the moment. I'm in a good state. I won't say, well, I'm not responsible for how you take that. I'll just shut up and move on, and it works out okay. But I think, signing up, and listen, listeners, you don't have to go do CrossFit. You don't have to do jujitsu. I was really going to go down that path too, where someone's got their arm around your neck. That's a little bit different. Someone actually has your leg in a position where it's going to break unless you actually submit to that person and say, yep, you got me. You will break my leg or choke me unconscious. It's kind of tough for a man to take at first until you get used to it. And then you can kind of get over the unrealistic, the unfounded fear that I'm going to die from this business failure or this bad argument, or this bad day, this bad week, this bad month, or this bad year. It's been a bad year for Sexton. It has not been good.
Well, this is all kind of goes also with kids. I think about.
Oh my God, kids!
That you're trying to raise these people to leave your home and make you proud and whatever. And so many of the decisions that we make as parents, I know for me, are all out of fear. Like, put the thumb down on them because, oh man, if I don't, they're going to do drugs or they're going to get arrested. Or
they might vape.
They're going to vape. well, they did.
We got a story about that
We
too.
got a story about that.
Yep.
It's so
That's
fun.
why you never say my kid would never, okay? But, I mean, and we only have one out of our home currently, and still, figuring out who he is and whatnot. But, it's pretty fantastic to see the fruits of all of the mistakes and all of the fear and all of that and all the failure that, you've gone through with your kids and all the, all that stuff, to see that, man, they've become pretty resilient and they don't live in your house anymore and they're doing all right.
Well, I think it lets you celebrate their small wins because they're going to do stuff you don't agree with. My girls do stuff that are out of the house that I don't agree with all the time. My son does stuff. My adult son does stuff. He tries to be someone he's not. And they always try to do things that that's going to end up bad.
Yeah.
But
when they try to find themselves.
When they have small wins, it's good.
Yeah.
Just to see them.
Yeah, for sure. But it's all the same. You think about the overlap. It's all the same.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
I think one of the things different, or I know in my life, and I think it's a generational thing, that our kids, it will be beneficial for them. Like, our generation is a lot better at being transparent, I think, and letting our kids, see our failures. We are
that's
anyway.
That's a good one.
And the people that I surround myself in my circle with, you guys, we're pretty open with our kids about, they know where we've screwed up. Whereas I don't think, my parents certainly didn't do that.
That's a good one.
And I just think that's going to be good for them, particularly in the long run.
Especially when you admit to your kids, like, hey, I messed up.
Yeah.
How many times we've apologized to our kids?
Yeah. Yeah. And they know, they really do know, like, business is doing well. Business is not doing well.
Yeah.
Hey, we're the budget has tightened up. This is what's going on. They are.
We're about to be back to Christmas as a craft.
Christmas is a craft.
Just kidding.
So those are good. What else? Anything else before we shut down? What is it like? Is it good? Bad? Is it? Anything else you want the listener to know about specifically being married to an entrepreneur? Or maybe is there some advice to young leaders, because I think you don't have to own a business, but you could be one of the person that's like really responsible and be sucked into business a lot. Is there a way spouses can get their partner to kind of realize that they need a little bit of balance in life? Is there something, has that ever been an issue?
Well, I do think that you asked, is it good? Is it bad? Well, it's good and bad. It's all, there's never, it's not all sunshine and roses, but it's also not, all dark clouds and, rainstorms.
Well, I think that's life in general, too.
Yeah, I think it's
entrepreneurship is like life.
And I think I'm going to say this like I would tell Ezra, who you marry kind of matters, right? You want to marry someone that ultimately wants you to succeed. They want you to, who knows what that looks like. I think what that looks like for us now is different than what we thought it would look like back in the day. Cause y'all know I don't plan. I don't have any expectations.
We wanted to make $50,000.
Literally.
a year,
that's all we wanted to
and
do.
We would have been set.
For sure. We were so happy that's all we needed,
Yeah.
I mean, and so, I think that's kind of my advice really is just, marry somebody that wants you to succeed. And then I don't know what your other question was.
I was just kind of priming the pump to see if there's anything else out there. Stephanie got one churning.
Well, no, I wouldn't have it being
out.
married to an entrepreneur. I wouldn't have it any other way. I just in general respect entrepreneurs so much. It takes a lot. Our country was built on the backs of entrepreneurs. And the only thing I would say to any young person, especially like young wives, we were talking about, them needing the security and the stability. Yes, and that is very much a real thing. But take the risk. Let him take the risk. Failure's not fatal. And in this amazing country we do live in, you can always start building again.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's a good one. I think that's probably where we need to end right there. Holy cow.
Oh, mic drop.
Mic drop.
And no one cried.
I'm shocked. I'm most surprised about that.
Thank
God. It would have been one of you two. It would not have been us.
Me. Yeah. It would have definitely been me. I watched a movie trailer last night and teared up a little bit.
It was
about a one-legged wrestler. God.
Oh my God. No,
it's a true story.
Those,
I can't remember. Robles. Yeah.
All the CrossFit videos that come across Instagram of the girl throwing up the barbell with the one arm, all those things. Those get me. Those get me.
Yeah, if she can do it, you can too.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing, and I don't know, y'all might even edit this out, but I just got to thinking about this is that, ups and downs, entrepreneurial life, whatever, but when it's successful, no one else has control over you. And that's why I kind of think that it's nice on one end. There's a lot of fear because you're,
but
not going to a 9 to 5.
The prize is freedom.
Yes, but the prize really is being able to be, self-sufficient. So I much prefer that now. I was down with 9 to 5 back in the day.
Yeah.
Home Depot.
You really
I was like, we lived next door to Home Depot. You could go sell flowers. I mean, really. That's
when people say you marry someone that's like your whoever was the most influential in growing up, like you marry someone like your mother. My mother told me, I'm not lying. We were sitting on the porch, and I'll never forget this. And she tries to deny it. She goes, Sydney, I don't know what you're doing with all this business stuff. You're a blue collar guy. We are blue collar people. You are a blue collar person. Stop all that. And I was like, well, Mom, I guess I could always go back to that, but that's not what I want to do. I was pretty offended, but I didn't want to piss her off.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times my mother has said, "Are you sure you want to do that?"
My mother didn't say it like that. She said, and I put that pretty nicely. Have you met my mother?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to come out like cordial.
Okay, well, at least you could explain to your parents what you're doing.
Yeah.
Try trying to explain an industry or in a career to your parents that don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Like
what y'all do.
No.
Yeah. That one's tough. But yeah, Jordan wanted me to be 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
And just
100%.
be safe. And nothing I want to do is safe.
No.
And I like
except
that
I do
security.
like wearing my seatbelt. Other than that, that's about it.
I don't even like doing that.
Yeah. I don't want to visit China. Jordan wants to visit China.
I like risky things that are weird, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to go to China.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd go to China, but it's not number one on my list. I'd rather go to Spain. Why are we not in Spain?
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. We haven't even been there. Let's go there first. Come on now. Okay. Hey, that I feel like we're at a good stopping point. What do you think?
I think we
Keith?
are too. This may need to be like a thing.
A thing. Okay.
Every once in a while.
Can we get the questions ahead
They
of
were
time?
so
next
There's
good.
time?
no questions.
Absolutely
We gotta
just
just
roll
go.
with it.
I
Why
know
don't-
it makes me nervous when y'all do that though,
Why don't
because
you keep notes throughout the year, and then you'll go, hey,
do you remember that one time
on October 27th, 2024, you said, and this is how I felt. I'm like, here we go. Hey, please check in with our sponsors. They
Hey,
make
ladies,
this-
people pay us to do this, so we
Oh my
gotta
God,
yeah.
really?
do y'all at least prep your other guests
No.
beforehand?
Well,
I mean, maybe a
kinda
little
do. We do actually prep them a little bit better.
That's all right.
And we talk through the questions, and we talk through the format, and make sure that they're comfortable with how this is going to work out. But with you ladies, we wanted to just free flow.
Throw us
Yep.
to the
Hey,
wolves.
Sid, people can go to our website now and like talk to our chat bot.
That's right.
Which is
I was
like
waiting
talking to
for you to
us.
say that.
What a neat experience.
Jordan loves AI.
And so if you have
love it.
if you have marriage questions now, you'll be able to get on when you hear this episode and talk to Jordan and Stephanie.
Oh yeah, and get advice.
Get advice.
Yeah,
Ask them what they think.
you could get advice on business. You could get advice on all kinds of things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Overlap Echo.
There you
pretty
go.
cool.
Please visit the website. Visit our sponsors. And what else we got?
Where are we going to lunch?
Yes.
Oh,
That's really why I agreed to do this, because y'all were
Tim
going to buy me
says
lunch.
we shouldn't time reference these things because then
Oops,
it puts
we'll
us
edit
where
that
we're
out.
at. Yeah.
No, he's not going to edit
Because
that
of
out.
what? We shouldn't do that.
I
Why?
don't really
What
know.
time
He
of
said
day?
something that sounded smart. I
Yeah.
just didn't listen. So there's that. But Tim has made our podcast sound professional as hell.
Yeah,
It's pretty great.
it's pretty great.
So thanks to him. Thanks to our sponsors who actually make it possible so we
Right
can pay
person,
Tim.
right seat.
Right person, right. It's not how, it's who, right?
Yep. It's not who it's how.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I did that one on backwards just to tout him. Hey, thanks ladies for being here. Thanks Jordan and Stephanie. I know you both sweated over it.
Yeah, I hope
last
that y'all
night and this
edit me and
morning.
make me sound smart.
Hey, I think like Tim says, Keith's not going to let him, but I think you can put like cool filters on us to make us sound better.
Oh, what about a British accent?
like a Southern sexy kind of deal?
Oh,
Ooh,
Nice.
like Southern. We
Not
smoke a pack of
redneck.
cigarettes that
Something
sound
like
kind of
that.
hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, did y'all know you ladies are literally the age of the Golden Girls?
No, that's a lie. Blanche lied about her age.
Oh, did she?
She did, right?
Oh, okay.
No, they were old.
I'm all right with
It
that.
said it
I
was
don't feel
Blanche
offended.
all-
What's her
always
name
lied.
said it was the kind of good looking one said she was 41.
Mhm, she
looked
lied.
like 61.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
she
weren't
did.
that young.
Yeah.
They weren't that young.
All right. We'll just keep rambling on if we don't stop this now. So, hey, thanks for listening, and we're out.
Peace.
That wasn't as bad as I thought it was
Oh
going
my
to be.
God, it made me. I
How
feel
long
like
did
I
we
didn't
go?
say anything smart.
1 hour, 50 minutes.